I forgot to push one single button.
I was gonna say no stream.
Yeah. Let me quickly repeat that.
Jason, I'm getting lots of popping in my radio.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question. How is the audio out there in RF land?
It's better. W1FRD, I'm on the pocket packet doing my APRS. I gotta hit the Vallejo to get something.
Okay, Fred, anyone else out there? Is my audio okay on the radio?
Now it sounds good.
Okay, good. Well, I started off in RF, but I wanted to welcome everyone in YouTube land as I have about 5 buttons to push, and I only pushed 4. So welcome, another night, 2 meter crew here. Tonight we're going to be talking to Randy, AA6RH, and we're going to be learning about APRS. So very exciting stuff. Of course, we are on the repeater, and we will break for emergency traffic. Do we have any? The 2 meter crew meets every Wednesday on Whiskey 6 VVR repeater and live stream. Come watch us right now or later on the Ham Radio TV YouTube channel. Big thanks to Vaca Valley Radio Club for letting us call this place home. Anyone can be a 2 meter crew member. All you have to do is come hang out with us. You can find us on Discord, Facebook, and of course, 2 meters. The links are below in the video, and I'm sure some people will be sharing them in chat as well. As you might already know, we like to change things up every week. We also have a core group of producers. But by all means, if you're interested in helping us run the weekly net or just have some great ideas, let us know. Speaking of my fine producers, let me hear from, who do we got? Let's hear from Nick. Nick, what is new with you up there in ham radio?
Thanks, Jason. This is Nick, KN6DAL. Is my audio coming out okay?
Yeah, you're coming in good. I've heard you cleaner, but plenty strong, good to go.
Patting myself on the back, I'm pretty excited about that. And other than that, just kind of going through the motions of ham radio. I'm excited for tonight because APRS is not something that I've really dove into yet, and so I think this will be a good branch off for me to learn a little bit more about it and hopefully get a little bit more involved, because I've heard a lot of people rave about how much they love it. And to me, I guess maybe I don't understand the benefits and the rewards of it, and so I'm excited to hear what Randy has to say, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come out and hang out with us tonight. So I'll send it back to you. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Nick, you left out one minor detail that occurred to you this week. What the heck did you pass?
I passed my extra exam, so yeah, I was actually really stoked. I missed one question, and they wouldn't let me know which one it was, because that's, I guess, against the rules, but that's all right.
Well, huge congrats, Nick. That is fantastic. I think you've given a lot of us inspiration, including myself, that have just been hanging out as lonely generals. So that is very exciting. How about let's kick it over to Mike. Mike, what's new with you? How have you been? Is your electricity still on?
All right, yeah, so this is Mike, WG5EK. Yes, my electricity is on currently. The internet has been up and down, and it looks like I'm having some internet issues right now, or something's going on. It's been kind of slow, but I'm here, I'm alive, just doing some fun radio stuff. For those of you that didn't hear, I kind of built a GMRS repeater that covers most of Vacaville, if not all of Vacaville. That's pretty fun to do. I've never done that before. Kind of built a repeater linking 2 Kenwoods together, and so yeah, that's about it really. Everything else is going pretty good. Back to you, WG5EEK.
All right, Mike. Well, very good. Okay, so we're going to get this thing going. At this point, I want to give a big thanks to Randy for coming out tonight. He's going to launch into his presentation, and we'll stop a few times for some questions, of course, on RF. And Randy, just a few quick questions. Where do you live? How long you been a ham? And what's your favorite thing to do with amateur radio.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate being here. This is Randy AA6RH for those of you out on the airwaves. I live in Santa Rosa, so not that far from you guys, a little bit west and a little bit north. And also, I have been a ham not terribly long. I think I got my license in April of 2017. And it was, not 6 months later, we had just a little fire happen and kind of launched me into actually being more active as a ham. And so that's kind of how I really kind of got myself into doing this as a hobby. Before I did the exam, kind of took it, got my general, and thought, yeah, all right, it's something to do. And then kind of waited. And like I said, after when the fires happened, everybody around me was freaking out about the inability to get current information about what's happening. And I thought to myself, oh yeah, I got this radio. I turned it on, put it on the local repeater for the club that I'm repping right now, which is Sonoma County Radio Amateurs. There you go. These guys did a Firewatch net where they were basically talking about what's currently happening, and as you know, it was pretty devastating. And there are still people recovering from it 3 years later. So. And my favorite thing to do with amateur radio right now is actually not APRS. Sorry, guys. It's DMR is kind of the thing that's been kind of really scratching the itch for me in terms of the hobby.
Ah, very good. Okay. Well, that's completely fine with APRS. It's one of those. I mean, it's just one street to go down, and I refuse to look into satellite or moon bounce because that's just so much more equipment to buy. But for me, I recently got a Yaesu 400, an FTM 400, and that's kind of what launched me into APRS. And I've just started, and so again, huge thanks for coming on. It was Adam. I forget Adam's call, but he recommended
it's KD6POC.
Perfect. Yeah. So he frequents some local repeaters down here in this Solano County, Contra Costa, and he threw out your information and he said, "Oh, you got to talk to him," because one thing that seems very magical to me is I'm in my Jeep where I put the 400, and somehow just with the radio and RF and the GPS that's built in, I'm ending up on a map. So that's kind of what we want to dig into, is understand this map, and I'm showing this map here on YouTube. Kind of behind me, and there's just so many things going on. So let me reset the repeater. This is KM6FAK, and as soon as we come back, you can launch right into it. Okay, Randy, take it away.
All right, so actually I was going to share my screen. Oh, look at that.
Okay, I think I might have
now you gotta flip the switch here for me.
Yeah. All right.
No worries.
That should work there.
There we go. Okay, so I'll do this. Okay, so you got my screen?
I do.
Very good. So this is kind of I literally whipped this together like today, because partly this was I wanted to do something where I could just kind of talk at a couple of things. But where I mentioned how I got started in amateur radio and having it be a thing that as I was craving information. Well, that's kind of what this talk is about. So starting off, so when you think about it, when things go wrong in your community, or when things are awry, as I use in this, what do you use to find up-to-date information? Some of the examples I had were, like in one case, like the county of Sonoma has a fire incident application that they've developed in the last 2 or 3 years. And this was the view today from that website on the screen. It's, it shows the fire outlines from the fires this year. It's, and it shows road closures and other information like that. And then you have sites like Nixle, which everybody's got on their phones, that you text your zip code to this number, and then you'll get alerts. And so that's another source of information. And then when we don't just have fires around here, we also have floods. And so you've got the National Weather Service that does things like flood gauges. And for the Russian River, this was a screenshot I did from the floods back in, I think it was 2019. Oh yeah, February, only a year and change ago. So yeah, it is pretty regular that we have things like this go on in our neighborhood. And so the question really becomes, what if hams had an information system that could rival all of these government-run systems? And the answer is that we do. And that's what I think is really cool about this thing that we call APRS. So APRS is that information system for us. And it has that ability. Most people don't use it for that, though. Okay, so let's talk really quickly about what it is. And I really want to stress the second word in this. APRS is the Automatic Packet Reporting System. Originally, Bob WB for APR, who developed this, used the word P for position. And he has since regretted that choice of words because everybody fixates on the positioning, that it is about position reports. And APRS is not about position reports. It is about understanding what's currently happening in the immediate area. It's really valuable for that in terms of being able to see kind of what's happening, what's currently going on in your immediate area. And usually it is going to be people are on the move, but it's also that what repeaters are working. If you there was a flood season I did where I was out of work because I'm a teacher and they closed the schools because the schools flooded or the neighborhoods flooded. So I'm at home, not working. So I get on and I start putting objects up on APRS to basically indicate road closures. And I actually got some reports from some of the local emergency response volunteers that were just like, who's putting these things up on the map? Because those are really helpful. It's like we can tell where things are open and where they're closed and where things are flooded and not. And that level of information is something that you can, that's something available to anybody who's motivated to contribute that to the system. Okay, so the thing about APRS for you guys, for all the people out there that are not on, is that it is easy to get started with, okay? So you have two apps on your phone. So whether you have an Android or you have an iOS, you got choices. The major app that everybody on Android uses is called APRS Droid. And the other for iOS is aprs.fi, which is also the website that we're going to talk a little bit about towards the end. So yeah, it's this general setup that gets people kind of started on it. And you talked about the website, Steve or Jason. Sorry, man, what am I doing here? But so you talked about the website that you look at to get this level of tactical information. And that's also available to you on your phone. So I'm going to break real quick.
All right. Well, this is KM6FAK. Continuing on, APRS talk. Thank you, Randy. Go ahead.
Okay. So when you get started with APRS, it's tempting when you Google it, you're going to see this website come up. Which is Bob WB4APR's website. It's called aprs.org. And you're going to be tempted to learn more about APRS by going to this website. And I'm here to tell you that you want to fight that urge. It is not pretty. I've got a slide up here that shows the website as it is. Now, I know lots of old OG hams love this website because it is just information dense. It absolutely is, if you have nothing but free time, you can read through this and it will start to soak into your brain how APRS works. But there's a lot of old information on this too that's out of date and obsolete, but it's still there. And so it's really hard to know what is the real situation on the ground with APRS right now in terms of how it functions. And so when I first tried to figure out APRS, I went to this website and I'm like, why are there so many conflicting things? Why are there so many? Why is there so much outdated information? I go and read something and think, oh, that's how it works. And then I read something else that says, oh, no, this has replaced that. And so it's not an easy read. And it's definitely not for beginners. So I don't recommend that you start your journey there. Okay. You'll be tempted to avoid that if you can. For instance, on the slide that you're seeing, if you're watching, the beginners, he has an introduction to new hams, and it's a text file. No lie, you click that in the browser, and it shows just a wall of text. So, that's his style, and bless his heart, but it's just not an easy read. So, there's really three things to APRS that anyone needs to know. First, there is the notion of a Digipeater. Okay, it's not a repeater that you think of. Digipeaters are an artifact from packet radio, where it's a fixed location, usually high altitude, like up in a hill or on a tall tower. It's low latency, meaning that it can turn around from from receive to transmit really fast, and it's a listen and replay, meaning it hears something come in, it quickly decides, am I going to repeat that? And then it transmits. And that's literally all that thing does. A Digipeater, it listens, it makes decisions based on what it hears, and then it will transmit out on certain packets. Not every packet will get transmitted. The next is the notion of what they call an iGate, and there's a lot of conversation on the online ham community about what kind of iGate you should run. But generally speaking, an iGate in APRS is a fixed location, so it's a station that's one place. It's internet connected, and it will either receive or it will receive and transmit. Based on what so if it receives, it will take packets that it sees, or APRS packets that it sees, and it will push them out to the internet system for APRS called APRS IS, and will then become available on all of these information systems that you guys are used to seeing in your browser, including APRS Droid, including APRS.fi. And another site called APRS Direct that we're going to we'll look at real quick. And then, other than those two things, it's everything else. So it's you, it's me, it's your next door neighbor, it's the guy in his Jeep, it's I put here your college student's weather balloon project. It's everything else is what goes up on APRS. Those are the things that are beaconing information, and these stations are as varied as you can imagine. Some of them are weather stations, some of them are other repeaters that are connected to APRS and will basically tell people that I'm online, here's my frequency, and here's how you connect to me. And then there's what else? What other things could there be on this? It's like there's objects. I actually do have a couple of APRS objects for repeater sites that don't broadcast their information, but those go out over RF, so that if you're driving around in a car with an APRS enabled rig, you'll see, oh, hey, there's a repeater with this frequency, and depending on the rig you have, you can tune your radio immediately to that repeater and have the right tone and everything else that's set up, so that you can immediately communicate on it. So, hey, look, there's the last thing. So, oh man, it didn't work out. All right, that's fine. So, we'll go ahead and dump out of this because apparently the last slide that I thought I had, I don't have. But what I wanted to say is that there is the radios that are available, and there's a wide variety of them. There's some good gear, okay, and the Yaesu, the FTM 300 and 400 DR, so like the one that you have, Jason, is a really good, solid APRS performance. There's handhelds, So like the Yaesu does the VX8DR or the FT3DR. If you're into touchscreens, you can do that one.
Or have the pocketbook.
What's that?
Or have the money for a 3DR.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I know they're a bank. But speaking of bank, is you could also do the Kenwood, say the TH-D74A, which is not a cheap radio, but is considered one of the best performing APRS handhelds out there. And then there's also the Kenwood TM D710GA, which is the that's kind of their Cadillac, and it's the platform I have in my car. So when I'm driving around, that's the APRS rig that I'm using, and it's full featured. It's got everything in it, so it's a lot like the Yaesu in that respect. The thing that I want to make sure that you guys get before, and we'll break again here in a sec, but the thing that I want to make sure that you guys understand, if you're getting into APRS, there is gear out there that you don't necessarily want to be using as your first stuff. And famously, one of the things that's pretty famous about it, and I got one right here. So let me unclip it from is this right here. It's the Anytone D878 UV. Does analog APRS, but doesn't receive. It doesn't actually, so it's like a blind transmitter. And those are the things that I want to caution people from trying on. When you're using APRS as just a blind beacon, first of all, you introduce QRM and interference, and you aren't listening before you transmit, which is what packet radio is really meant to be, and APRS is really meant to be. With the full featured radios, they will listen for a clear air before they transmit. With some of these, they'll just PTT and go. So the other things are most old TNCs out there, of which I have stacks of them in my shack here, are not particularly well suited for APRS. They were well suited for them 15 years ago when it first was, popular, but the mode, or really APRS, has evolved, and the TNC hardware has not. And so it's the most old TNCs I wouldn't use. Surprisingly, this is the one that might cause a little bit of upset, is that the other thing I don't recommend for people is like hardware TNCs for the Raspberry Pi, stuff like that, like the TNC X and stuff like that, I don't recommend those because they don't decode well. They don't work as well in terms of being able to receive and hear well and be able to decode what comes out over the air. So, those are some caveats that I want to caution you guys to think about. So let's go ahead and break.
All right, very good. Randy, you want to give your call?
Oh, sure. This is Randy, AA6RH.
Up there
out to you from the internets.
Yeah, that's right. But you're up in Sonoma, correct?
Yes, I'm in Santa Rosa, so I am...
so you could almost hit us probably here in Vacaville.
Yeah, not really. We got too many ridges. We're 2 ridges away from you guys, so it's kind of hard.
All right. And this is Cam6FAK. So yeah, continue, Randy, and then here in a little bit we'll get some questions in here because I'm sure there's a handful out there.
Sure, people are lining up with their pitchforks. Yeah. So yeah, there's a couple of interesting APRS stations I wanted to talk to you guys about, so when you use APRS, again, it's not just about positions. It's not just about where you are on a map. You can actually communicate. Just the other day, I actually had a QSO on APRS packet with another station, and that was the first time he'd ever had somebody reply to him, and he was just over the moon because he just threw one out at me, and he said, "Hey, just saying hi," and I replied back because I was at a stoplight. I'm like, "Hi." And he's just like, "Oh my God, there's somebody out there." So yeah, you can actually do text messaging over APRS. It's something that you can do. It's obviously, it's not keyboard friendly, but it's possible. And you can have stored messages and do short Like, if you know that if it's somebody sending out a question to you and the answer is a yes or no, or a Roger or Wilco, or call me or I'll call you later sort of approach, you can have those stored in some of these radios for quick access and just beam the reply to them. But there are some applications out there on APRS that are useful. One of them is called Wxbot. So it's Wxbot, Whiskey X-ray, So it is a service that you can send an APRS message to, and you will and it will send back a message about your local weather. And so it is and this is an app that some enterprising ham put up on as a listener on APRS, and whatever messages it gets, it goes, where are you located? Oh, here's the weather for your area. And so that can be kind of a handy thing. There's also there's a gateway called SMS GTE, and that is a way that you can send APRS messages to a via text message to a mobile phone. And so you can text message or receive text messages too, though you have to send first, I believe. And then last, there is also built into most APRS IS servers the ability to email an APRS. So if you give an email address and a short message after that, that gets sent out to that email address via the email to gateway. And obviously, with all of these things, the caveat is that you got to follow the ham radio rules in terms of you're not selling things, you're running your business doing this. But if it's literally staying in touch with people that you otherwise can't get in touch with on a personal level, these are useful little things that are available to you once you get on and acclimated to APRS. So the two websites, and Jason, you talked about the first one, aprs.fi, right? And I've seen you. I've watched some of your previous streams. I've done my research, and you've had this up on the screen before. So I've seen the map up there, and I'm like, okay, cool. So he's using APRS.fi. That's really it's the one that everybody goes to. I mean, it's the most popular one out there. There's an alternate one that I've used in the past that has been really kind of helpful, and it's called APRS Direct. And the URL for that is aprsdirect.com. It is super. It's actually a little more modern in terms of how it works. So it's a little more real time. And it just gives you some different data views on, power, range, and other things about these stations on APRS. When it comes to there's really a bottom line, though, when it comes to getting on APRS and using it, especially for folks in Northern California and folks in any metropolitan area. And that is this: wide 1-1, nothing more. When you put in the where you want your packets to be routed, just route them wide 1-1, and that's it. Because the thing that causes most interference and most saturation of APRS Digipeaters and channels is that people basically load up and they're like, I want to make sure my message gets out there, so I'm doing wide 2-2, and that's 3 hops. That was literally going to send that message is going to be heard on 3 times. And here's where it really gets bad, is that it fans out. So as the first packet gets transmitted with a wide 2-2, more than one Digipeater might hear that. And they're gonna each say, oh, that needs to be digipeated, and then they're gonna set it up as a 2-1, and then they're gonna digipede it out, and then another Digipeater is gonna hear that, maybe the other one that heard the first one, and it's gonna say, oh, that's 2-1, I need to digipede that, and then they'll repeat it again. So that same packet bounces over and over and over again over the air, and it just completely obliterates any usefulness.
And I'm assuming this is going to be a setting, such as my
it is
my
a
FTM
setting
400.
in each radio.
Okay.
So,
And a question in the chat here. It says, isn't wide 1-2 a party mode?
actually, 1-2 won't get anywhere on most Digipeaters because it is the first number is kind of a maximum. So wide 1 means that it's 1 hop. So if you do a 1-2, it's like the Digipeater is going to be like, that's invalid. They might either just treat it like 1-1 or they'll drop it.
So that was some inside baseball, and it just purely showed everybody how much I don't know about APRS. Thank you, Josh. He said he's joking. I'm like, oh, I thought it was a question.
See, no, he was testing me. It's probably more
okay.
like.
So you're legit. I'm hanging out. I got some knobs over here. Very
Anything
good.
else? I mean, that's kind of it. Is like the big thing that I want people to take away is it's not hard to use. If you want to get hobby-tastic with it and go all the way down to I'm making my own circuit boards and doing stuff like that, yeah, absolutely, the hobby's there for you. Currently, so the reason why you heard my name is that I manage a couple of these high-level Digipeater sites for Sonoma County. When I first set them up, I didn't know how to properly set up a Digipeater, and so I learned real fast. Because you start getting angry emails from people that are just like, your station, I'm hearing 100 miles away, and it's blocking everything. And I'm like, okay, yeah. How about so yeah. The I heard somebody actually, and I can't remember his call, but it was a great conversation with him talking about this about the QRM problem with Digipeaters, and he said, most APRS these days needs to really be treated like cell phone towers. They need to be super local. And that's kind of what I mean by the wide 1-1 thing, is that the Digipeater needs to be super local so that it doesn't bounce packets hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's some questions coming in. So Michael here is asking, he's got the FT-3D by Yaesu. And he's just wondering, it defaults to wide 1-1 or wide 2-1. Is that too much then? So he's just asking for a little bit. I know you kind of covered it, just to reiterate.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Actually, you can, if you do either if you do wide 1-1 or wide 2-1, and that's all you put, it will be fine because that will basically dictate how many hops it will do over the air. And you're really just saying, I'm going to transmit it, and then something's going to hear that and repeat it one time.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of a command.
Usually, though, with most of the, if you look on APRS maps and you see the little green 6-sided star with a letter in it, most of them, or sometimes they have a number in it, and the number 1 means that's what they call a fill-in digi. And those are meant to be those localized only Digipeaters. They're not super high altitude. They're not all the way at the top of the mountain. They might be on a water tower. They might be on something closer to the ground by comparison. But it's within hearing range of most mobiles and handhelds in a reasonably wide area. And then that's what digipeats it out to a station that has either an iGate built into it or it's a Digipeater plus iGate, which is what those are the ones that I run. The way I run my stations now is they almost never transmit. They transmit their beacons,
right?
But they don't transmit other packets coming in usually.
Okay. Now,
because I need them to be quieter and they need them to play nice with the neighbors.
Yeah, now that makes sense. Now, let me ask you another question, because I'm sure a lot of people out there listening, and let me reset here. Thank goodness for long timeout timers on our repeater. KM6FAK. One thing with the hobby, I feel like we definitely see and hear a lot, is we all have a bit of gas. And what I mean by that is gear acquisition symptom. Okay?
Oh, man.
Yeah, so we love our stuff. I mean, it kind of comes hand in hand. But let's say you don't have anything yet, and you're very interested, and I'm looking for 2 of radios you recommend. Of course, one for the car, and then one for an HT. Do you have some favorites or ones that are just more simpler than others?
Sure. So if you're really into, if you really want to have APRS with you, I think that you're best served with the, if it's an HT, it's probably going to be the Yaesu, not the FT3D. Sorry, it's just too damn expensive. But the the VX8DR is a pretty decent performer, and it's not gonna kill you to own one. And it has APRS built into it, and so it's a pretty handy little device. For the car, I mean, I'm a Kenwood guy. I gotta say, man, that's like I really do like my D710, and it's been so handy, so useful. But I know that there are people. I've been given an eyeball to that the new 300 DR from Yaesu. And that's a nice looking radio too. So I don't know. I mean, but here's the thing, and I know this is going to cause all kinds of trouble, but I cannot deal with Yaesu's menus. It drives me up a wall. Now
the Kenwood you mentioned, is that ready to go out of the box, or does it need any kind of GPS accessory?
Nope. Yeah, the D710 GA, so it's got to be the GA.
Oh, okay.
Has the GPS internal, and will do positioning. Automatically from the GPS radio in it.
Yeah, very cool. I recently.
It's not cheap, I won't lie. I mean,
yeah.
It's not a cheap
well,
radio.
That's kind of how it goes, right? I mean, it has this feature built in. You don't need a TNC like you mentioned. It's got the GPS. And a couple weeks ago, we had a anti-net here. And really, it was a kind of a self-serving, selfish anti-net. And I was asking everyone, hey guys, I just got this Jeep Wrangler. I really want to put a radio in. What do you think I should do? And I kind of had one picked out in the back of my mind, but I was really interested in crowdsourcing the idea, because, I want people to tell me what they have experience with, and that's kind of how I landed on the 400. A lot of people came with high praise on that. And
I've heard really good things about it.
And yeah, so far so good. I mean, it's solid. It does have a remote head. So, as long as you're okay with mounting the body and the head separately, then it's definitely a good option. Although Yaesu and their RJ45 connector, I have a handful of Yaesu radios all with this connector, and
it's all right because the Kenwood that I'm talking about has an RJ45 as well. So.
Okay, all right, yeah.
You don't escape it just by moving from that.
I know it.
Commercial to get away from some of those and get into the highly proprietary connectors. Yay! So yeah.
Yep. All right, well, let me see. Let me drop the repeater here. This is KM6FAK, and with Randy here, AA6RH. Is there any questions out there in RF land? I think what it is a lot of people are just enjoying this via probably YouTube. Maybe a few people are out there listening. But
having the dinner.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we got some people agreeing the 400 is very nice. How to reply, making the message easier. So I went in and set up a few quick messages.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be super handy.
Yeah, and my favorite is so while I've been talking, I've been showing. Last night I captured some 400 video of it just sitting out my driveway, capturing these stations come in, and I love how many icons it gives you. You can have a canoe, a boat. It has a Jeep, a truck, a car, and so what I did is because if you drive a Wrangler, there's a bit of a Jeep Wrangler wave. I think it might have came from the Corvettes or the motorcycle group, but anyways, I have a couple in there saying hello, or I'll just say nice Jeep. And they're preset, so I just have to quickly push a button, dial the knob to grab a preset, and then I can send it on. Because I think that's kind of fun, messaging people, through RF and all of that.
Yeah, and what's cool about it is that if you message somebody that is on APRS but they're not local, that's where you use these iGates. That's where they come in handy, because what'll happen is you'll send a message out over RF to a call sign that may not be local. So you could send it to me, AA6R8-9. or sorry, mine is -7. Don't send it to -9. Nothing's listening. So AA6RH-7 is the SSID I use for my station when it's up. It's not up at the moment, so right now wouldn't be the greatest time to do it. But if you were to, what would happen is your message would go out over RF. It might hit a Digipeater and then get sent over to an iGate, where that system, that station would hear the packet, put it on the internet, and then the APRS IS would basically say, that's a message for this call sign. Where have I heard that call sign last? Oh, yeah, they came in over the K6YIL-1 Digipeater iGate, so I'll send it there. And then that Digipeater that iGate will receive the message and go, okay, yeah, this guy's local, and it transmits that packet. So it gates it to the internet, across, and then out back over RF. So that's the promise of the internet-connected APRS system. Got it, yeah.
Now, one question I have, and I see others do as well, is you mentioned you're running and supporting some iGates.
Yes.
What does that take? What kind of equipment are you using, or you're finding yourself most successful using?
I wish I had good pictures of it. Let me see if I got. Actually, I'm gonna look and see if I can pull up a photo album of my stuff. I might have it in my. Yeah. I'm looking. So.
Yeah, because one thing I noticed is, let me see if I can hit some filtering while you look for that. I live here in Solano, Contra Costa I work in, and if I do some filtering on the fly here, so filter, I knock off all stations, and I want to see Digipeters and iGates. Mm-hmm. As far as, Lake Berryessa, Woodland, Yolo County, Solano County, Contra Costa County, there's a few sitting on Diablo, but we don't have as many. You guys have a nice little pocket there in Santa Rosa. I mean, obviously you're involved with that.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I often wonder,
that, yes.
should myself or the club, I mean, is this something that Solano County needs, or do we have enough?
Well, let me see. So I'm going to share APRS Fi with you guys right now. So I'm going to do that with my browser. Okay, so you guys hopefully can see this.
Yep, it's coming up.
And all right, so I'm looking at your area, and literally what you might want to do is you guys don't have a whole lot going on.
I know. I feel like it's calling my name.
Yeah, it could be. So what you notice is that so most of the stations that I'm seeing, like this W1 FRD,
there's Fred
is using using the iOS app for APRS.
He sure is.
Yeah. So that's what's showing here is the routing shows that, and that's what's interesting about this is this site gives you really interesting tactical awareness of an area. So you do have there's somebody with an open spot, hotspot. You have some weather stations. So some of these are actually tied to hams, and some of these are just community weather stations that beacon out only over the internet, and they do end up on this map, but they don't go out over RF. But these have this is actually as close to the most current weather that you're likely to get, and the current situation on the ground in your area in terms of weather. The thing actually I thought that was a huge miss that I'm thinking of next for APRS for Northern California, and probably all of California, maybe Oregon and Washington, is getting air sensors up on APRS.
Whoa, what's that?
So, well, you know how you got, over the last month, we've had terrible air quality.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, yeah. And if you use these apps like, IQ Air and Purple Air and all these other ones that basically have maps that tell you where their sensors are located, that's the sort of thing that we could do on APRS. As the same way that they do these weather stations that are just embedded in and are always reporting what the current status of the weather is in your area. So, but that wasn't your question. Your question was kind of talking about what you guys have that is near that will hear what you're talking about. N6VV is actually it's funny is that I hear them pretty regularly up in Santa Rosa on one of my digis. Hears this site pretty well. So this has to be at a high altitude, and considering it's facing Vacaville to the north, I'm pretty sure that that's the eye gate that much of the RF traffic ends up going through for you guys, and is a pretty valuable. But since right now it doesn't look like a lot of RF is going out, and this time of day is not known for being super busy for APRS over RF, so it's not a surprise. But yeah, you do. I mean, you get down here to the South Bay, and you do have some. It gets kind of crazy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I've noticed that, and you know what? I've actually hit right around town here with RF. I've hit your stations up there in Santa Rosa. So we are getting out. It is doable, and
and you see that this. I mean, this is one of the digis that I was talking about. Is K6QXY. This is the one that actually has the best receive, and it can hear all the way to the Sierras.
And could you describe that station? Is there a tower? Is that a repeater site?
It is it's on a hillside. It is actually it's about I want to say 1,900 feet up. So it's pretty high up. It's not. I wouldn't say it's not the tallest area out there, but it regularly gets it listens all the way to the South Bay. It listens all the way to the Sierras in the east. It can hear well into Mendocino County, and sometimes to Humboldt, depending on how well RF is going.
Very nice. So I have a weather station. I think it was a gift, so I'm guessing probably Amazon, $150. I'm guessing the price. Mm-hmm. But I recently realized in getting this radio, diving in APRS, downloading the app. If you have an Apple or an Android, there's apps out there to download. But right there, if you go into the website interface, you're switching up on me.
Sorry, man.
No worries. So we'll do
just randomly do stuff to you.
No, it's good. Well, let's see. I need to push a few buttons. Anyways, I'll just continue my thought. I'm covering up Nick, and I'm multiple places. But what I was going to say is, so if you have a regular weather station, you're just enjoying it home, it gets on the internet. Mine is by, I think it's Ambient Weather, I believe it's called. Yep. And you go right in there to the settings, and you're looking for, this is by memory, is it CWOS?
Yep.
You tie it to CWOS, and then you go in, you give that some information, and then you get a call sign, and then boom, you get to show up
on APRS.
Yeah, you get to show up, and I was gonna show people that. So let me see here. I need to make and pin video. I don't need that.
The other thing I would say for you guys in terms of where you are located is that you're likely to also be within RF range of some of the Sierra Foothills digis and eye gates out there as well.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I mean, it's not surprising, but RF goes a long way, especially on the flats. So yeah,
and it's digital, right? So the digital is really just moving.
Well, yeah, it's not purely digital. It's audio frequency shift keying, so it's still using FM.
But it's easier for a machine to hear that, let's call it a fax machine noise, than our ears to be able to understand someone's voice, right? That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, definitely, it's more likely to work, but it will fall victim to typical fading and other stuff that you get with RF, depending on the conditions, on the ground and the weather. So there are aspects to that can affect range with APRS. So it's better to have, and like I said, that's what once again harkens back to that, having a cell tower kind of mentality with APRS, where you deal with it locally, because the further that the radio signal has to travel, the less likely it is to be copied and then gated and then recorded. So it gets to be a little bit tricky.
Got it. And one thing I found interesting, because I was doing a little preparing. I shot some video earlier. I was showing in the 400 capturing all these stations, which is super fun to see. Just driving down the road, every once in a while you kind of glance over, see what station's popping up, whether it might be a weather station or, like I said, someone mobile or in a sailboat or kayak, or you have a ton of icons. But my weather station, I spoofed it, so I purposely moved it. So this is in my neighborhood, but it's not at my house. But anyways, that's kind of interesting. If you're kind of concerned with that privacy, I get it. People, but at least it's under your call sign. So I'd like to think it is more challenging to find your address with your call sign if you're not a ham. And, an OM once told me never to trust a P.O. Box ham. No, I'm kidding. There's obviously
right there.
there's a lot of
P.O. Box hams.
I agree. And what's funny, not related but kind of comical, is my house is a giant fuzzball and I can't undo it. I asked Google to undo it. I got nothing to hide, but I'm a giant fuzzball. The previous owners,
blur you all the way
from 2015. But anyways, so there's my weather station. I think it's really fascinating to see that up there in APR. So check that out.
Very cool.
I feel like one day I might try one of these stations, but it kind of sounds like it is a good idea to have a little coordination, if you will, with that.
I think that you guys might benefit from it. And honestly, I think if you can find an area that's just a little bit high ground, it's like it doesn't have to be super. It doesn't have to be a hilltop,
right,
to be able to set something like this up. It just needs to have a really good receive antenna. And even if it has a reasonable transmit antenna, you can set up an iGate you can do an iGate on a household. That would be fine.
Yeah.
Especially if it's relatively close to the freeway. I'm only a few miles. I'm maybe a mile and a half from 101. I could put a 10 foot pole, 10 foot mast outside, run a 2-meter antenna and be a fill-in digi or an iGate that would take anybody that's driving up and down the freeway.
Yep.
That's sending packets about what's going on there and immediately get it onto the internet. So the nice thing about that is pushing things towards the internet is what most people want APRS to be doing. I think that there's a little bit more to it than that. I think that there's a lot of value in having APRS that is robust enough to be usable without the internet. And that's where I would see that you guys, where your situation currently is in Solano County, is probably not as robust as it should be for you guys.
Right. Yeah.
You want to really support that, because once you get up past, I want to say you get up past, I'm looking right now as to. Because once you start going up 505 to where it hooks up with the Interstate 5 heading north, it's like there's not a lot out there. And of course, there's not a lot out there anyway. But still, there's you do have the Digipeater on the eastern or the west side of the valley for you guys up by Williams, and there's resources out there on either side of the Central Valley, but nothing down in the valley itself. It's like mostly it seems like that's been overlooked.
Yep.
So
yep.
Yeah.
Now
here I am consulting.
yeah, heck yeah. So the I believe I saw a picture. I should bring this up. In North America here, for the most part, we're using a set frequency, right?
Yes.
Is APRS, does that ever show up somewhere else on 70 centimeters or HF or anything like that?
Ooh, that's a good question. There is APRS on HF. I don't use it, so I don't really bother to know much about it. In the U.S., pretty much everybody uses 144.390. for their APRS frequency. I've gone round and round and round. There's that website, aprs.org.
Yeah, so that has the image I brought up. That North,
yes, exactly.
North
That's the
America
world map with the different frequencies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no real coordinated frequency for 70 centimeters. I've heard people say you could use 441.5. You could use because that's a digital frequency in 70 centimeters. So any of the digital frequencies, not using a repeater frequency, not using a satellite frequency, for God's sakes, don't do that. But so if you had a band plan that you could bring up and you could look at, so I usually use the one from NARC, narcc.org.
Okay.
That's where you can find repeater coordinators for Northern California.
Got it.
But yeah, they have a band plan that shows a bunch of digital frequencies that you can use for it. The Northern California Packet Association, NCPA, is another org that really mines what frequencies you should use for packet radio, and they do acknowledge that there is the APRS allocation for 144.39, but in 70 centimeters there's nothing there. You just choose a non-allocated frequency. So I think one of the ones that I'd looked at, because I had actually looked into this, now I'm like shuffling through my notes, is I think one of them that I looked at was 433.590. So I don't know.
KM6FAK. Continuing on, but we are about to head to more of a Zoom call and keep the YouTube running. So go ahead, Randy. We're coming up on the
we're
first.
Running out of time here. But
No, we're just coming up in the first hour, and we'll let the repeater drop. And let me unkey and ask: does anyone on the repeater have any questions? All right. Well, I guess it's just story time, theater of the mind out there.
It's okay. Yeah.
A lot of people are having fun in the chat, which is awesome. And so I'm getting ready to drop the link for that. And another kind of neat tool that I've discovered is I ride quite a bit of motorcycle, especially to work, or maybe you're going to go see some family or friends. Although it might be tough right now. But anyways, you could very easily tell them your call. Hopefully they know it if they're family or friends, and just give them this website. And right away, either you are using a radio or even, I've been experimenting with my iPhone. I downloaded the APRS.fi app. I did pay, I don't know, $5, but I figured, hey, it's a good cause. Throw a little money in the hobby. It's not a bad thing. But anyways, I bring it up and there's a motorcycle icon. So what do you know it? I throw the motorcycle icon on, and I get on the bike. Obviously, I can't talk to anyone. So if someone wants to check on my position and make sure I'm not laying in a ditch for 10, 20 minutes straight, they can. So there's just so many different things you can do with it.
That's true. No, I used to ride motorcycles all the time, so it's not uncommon for. I wasn't into ham radio when I was riding motorcycles, but I have used my morning routine, my morning drive to exercise my APRS radio as I'm driving along. So, definitely, it is one of those things where you can say, "Hey, if you want to know where I'm at, just type in track call sign in the top corner there where it says track call sign, the following thing, and you give them your SSID for your APRS station." Like I said, mine would be AA6RH-7.
Right.
And then it clicks search, and it will find it, and it will track it. And as the position updates, they'll know where you're at. And so yeah, there's and APRS is, it's funny is that it is a hack of packet radio, and it kind of sort of works. It's one of the two remaining kind of vestiges of old packet radio that really are out there. I know that there's people that are like, packet radio is not dead, and I'm like, oh, I get you. I totally agree. I think that it is. I think it has the ability to resurface, But the two things that are currently using packet radio are APRS and WinLink WL2K.
Right.
Yeah, so emergency email that you can do over RF.
Excellent.
And, yeah.
Well, hey, I'm gonna let go of the repeater at this point. If anyone wants to, continue on using that. But thank you so much for joining us here in RF land. Hope you can stick around for a little bit. People are going to be joining us in Zoom, and we'll get some more questions. So everyone out there, we'll be back next week, 7 p.m. with the 2 meter crew. This is KM6FAK repeater back to normal operation.
N6 EMF, Wilson and Rancho Cordova.
Hey, go ahead, Wilson.
Hi, I know you guys are trying to wrap up, but I was so intrigued by the discussion. I'm wondering how can I get onto the Zoom or find out more about how to plug in online. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, great question. So you're gonna want to go to, gosh, I'm coming across OBS, very, very hot. On YouTube, you want to do Ham Radio TV. Ham Radio TV. It's a YouTube channel. You'll see us live there, and then the links are being shared in the chat on YouTube. And feel free to jump in and join us.
All right, I didn't catch your call sign. The repeater call jumped right in after you, but I do want to express appreciation for the APRS discussion. I'm a River City Arcs club member here in the Sacramento area. I'll be listening for you guys. I've got you plugged into my Yaesu FT-991A as a base station. N6 EMF clear. Thank you.
All right, very good. Well, this is Jason and Randy. My call is KM6FAK in Vacaville, and then Randy is AA6RH. And yeah, come find us in YouTube. Ham Radio TV is the channel, and you'll have the link right there to come join us and ask any more questions or learn some more about APRS. So at this point, I'm going to let the repeater drop.
All right, Jason. KM6FAK, this N6 EMF. Thank you. 73.
All right, 7-3, KM6FAK. Okay, so the repeater's down.
Woohoo!
Let me
now, all right, repeater's down. Time to party.
switch around here. Yeah, we don't have to be so political. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, geez. So actually, I just wanted I wanted to pop. I'm going to share my screen again, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to quickly set that in motion. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So one thing that I ran into is that there's this station here. So this is up, a little bit north of, or a little bit northwest of Sacramento. Well, actually, due north of Sacramento. KN6MBR -9 is this station right here. And if you, what's cool about APRS FI is that if you touch the little dot, that's when the station actually reported, and it will draw a little line across to the station that heard it. And so this tells you that K6CDF5, which is out in Lake County, is has really good ears. It's that's a long throw, but that picked up that packet from this station and then gated it to the internet. The second one actually bounced off of a Digipeater just west of Williams. And then it went up to, I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. It actually hit oops, man. Oh, this zoom's really hurting me. Sorry, everybody. Don't mean to vomit comet you.
A little herky jerky, no worries.
Yeah, no kidding. But I want to catch this. So this packet right here, I'm going to set my mouse on it. So this packet went from KN6MBR over west to K6CDF-8. And then ended up going northeast to Chico, to a station W6SCR, which if you click up there is a well, I don't know what this is, Butte SAR. So it's Butte County amateur radio, but it's it's relatively low power, 9 watts, 40 foot above average terrain. and relatively modest antenna, and it picked up that packet, and then that's what gated it to the internet. So the positioning, the packets that come in, whether they're weather packets, whether they're these digital systems, home stations like this one up here near Oroville, there's lots and lots of stuff going on where the packets from different stations will basically be heard across miles and miles in terms of and then be appropriately sent to this website. This website is on the internet, so anything that hits the internet shows up here. And as long as that works, everything kind of comes together. If your packet doesn't get heard by an iGate, it doesn't show up on this map.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Very cool.
Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and drop back out. So.
All right. So what do you think? We got Mike and Nick in here. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like using the Android app. For a while, it wasn't working with anything below or above. It was an Android 9 and above, so you had to go to their website.
Yeah, and pull down the APK and
find
install it
sideload the other one. But now they've updated apparently either this month or last month, and so you can get it directly from the store, and it'll work now on a brand new phone, which was something I discovered because I just got a new phone. I was like, man, it's not working. What's going on here? But I have used it I bought the BTEC APRS cable that you can plug it into like any type of phone, not a phone, or a phone or tablet, and then to your radio, set it up for Vox and do all that fun stuff, tweak it, and it works pretty well as long as you're in an area that you could hit a Digipeater or an iGate or something.
Correct. Yeah, those little cables basically rely on Vox, so that because they don't there's no PTT on that cable, but you can plug that into more than just a BTEC or Baofeng or something like that.
Oh yeah,
put it in,
any type
into a Kenwood or and then it's actually that can be really fun. I mean, I've got one of these. It's a cheap little Kenwood 2-meter, but it's got the same connector. And this is a solid radio.
Oh yeah. Something I discovered as well, and Nick can attest to this. If you take that same cable, you can actually run it to an app called Zello, and you can make a cross-link from Zello to an RF station. And
yeah, I've heard that. I also heard that a lot of people don't like it.
So what?
Well, I know. There's a certain amount of can you do it and should you do it, but that's fine. Yeah, there's a ton of. I think that this is one of the areas where there's real opportunity for innovation, in terms of kind of coming up with novel uses of this stuff. And yeah, it requires a little bit more creative thinking in terms of rules and making sure that. Obviously, you flout the FCC rules at your own risk, but you absolutely experimentation is part of the hobby for sure.
Right, yeah.
So you got to be able to play with this stuff.
Testing is good.
Yeah.
Forgive me if this is a little bit of an ignorant question, but so I have very little background in APRS, but you were talking about how that signal on that map reflected off of one Digipeater and then back up to that other station.
Yes.
Potentially, how many times could it continue to go to another Digipeater and forward and forward?
Very good question. So if you took my advice and you set it to wide 1-1, it would hit the one Digipeater, and then whatever heard that would hear it. And if there was no iGate that heard it, it would go nowhere after that. So the idea behind Digipeaters in that respect is they're supposed to be really good listening receivers, and they have good range, reasonably good range, so that the likelihood is that that packet will be heard by something that can put it on the internet.
I guess to further that question, so my current location is Everett, Washington. So if I was to send a packet and it reflected off of multiple different Digipeaters, could it potentially get somewhere as far away as like your guys' location?
Not
Or-
likely. No. In fact, there's a lot of things built into APRS to kind of prevent that from happening these days. Most of the Digipeater operators have their settings such that they're not likely to
Right.
push a lot of those outside of certain boundaries. For instance, if you looked at my stations in Sonoma County, they will digipeat all the time. They will digipeat what's called the SS. There's a state codes that you can get. We have Northern California, so that'd be NCA. I imagine there's ones for Washington State. And then from there, you can actually, that's a regional routing for Digipeaters. And I don't want to make the room spin too much, but generally speaking, packets, if you try to say, oh, if I go higher than, if I go wide 3 or wide 4 or wide 5, I can get further. Most of the Digipeaters out there are just going to shunt it. They're not going to actually bounce that packet 7 times. That it's going to get probably 2, maybe 3. But in areas where there's lots of people and high population areas, you are just asking for interference. You're basically just QRM. It's the same noise over and over and over again.
Hey, Mike, I hate to put you on the spot, but do you think you could share that story about your camping trip that you had posted in the chat?
Which mic?
You.
Well, I don't remember.
The one about how you had connected the radio to your phone and you were able to send a message.
Oh, I mean, yeah, a lot of people have done that. You just use this, and then you would just text it, like, because you can send text messages. And actually, there's a way to do texting. It gives you it basically gives you its own number. So there's a SMS eGate.
SMS GTE is what.
Yeah, GTE. Yeah. So you didn't really cover that, but there's a way to do that as well.
I mentioned it briefly. I didn't really get into it in detail.
Yeah, that's fun too. But yeah, you can send a message, and I've sent like messages to like family and friends, like, hey, we're out camping, whatever, and it works. It's pretty cool. And they were like, what number is this? I don't know who you are.
Yeah, who is this?
Yeah. So it kind of ties into a different cell phone number. Which you get from then. So if you're gonna do that, I would say probably let somebody know what it is ahead of time, so you expect to get a text from somebody,
or just send your message. Your first message from it would be, "Hey, this is so and so."
Yeah, but with the age of cloning numbers and stuff.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's like they're if you're asking for money, man, don't.
Hey, I'm stuck in whatever I need.
I'm stuck in Timbuktu. I need $10,000 right now. So I'm looking at northern Seattle area, like Redmond, and the APRS up there is hot. It's really busy out here. So yeah, you guys have a lot going on.
Hey, there you go, Nick. Hey, so someone in the chat has a question about can those measures? It says mitigate. Mitigate. Put my glasses on. Airplanes or balloons set to wide 2-2.
Oof. Yeah, the trouble with high altitude transmitters, generally speaking, they're not meant, actually, realistically, if you're doing if you're in a plane or you are in or you have a weather balloon project that's beaconing, don't give it anything. You don't put any routing on it. You just beacon the packet and it gets heard, because when it's that high up, even if it's transmitting at 1 watt, it's likely to be heard by lots of stations. So yeah, doing any kind of routing of high, and yeah, we've had problems with aircraft flying into Sonoma County with like wide 2-1 or wide 2-2, and we're just like, being a jerk, man. It's like, why are you doing that?
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it does happen. It's a little weird, but yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Nick? You going to get some with APRS?
I'm looking at some different things. So one of the things that always comes through my mind, and I think you've kind of alluded to it a little bit, we've talked about a couple of different radios, but there's a lot of people out there that I think there's a significant barrier to entry on this as far as the overall cost to get a good quality radio. And Mike had mentioned some inexpensive alternatives. Do you have any other alternatives that you might suggest for the person that wants to?
Sure. So if you're really budget minded, one of the things that it's a real promising, they've made a really good product, and it's gotten better at being a good TNC, being a good terminal node controller for packet, is mobile linked. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's MOBILINKD. Mobile linked. They have a TNC3 that came out recently. How it works is it plugs into your radio with a cable, and then it has a Bluetooth radio that connects to your phone, and then you run the app on your phone, and the phone then can work over RF to do APRS or packet if you're really feeling saucy. But that is that's if you already have a radio and you want to patch something into it to be able to kind of play in the water without in playing actual RF as opposed to just running the app and then doing it just over your cell phone mobile data. Mobile linked is probably one of the best choices, and I'm sure that they're gonna come right back and be like, "Hey, Randy, we want to sponsor you, man." But it's not that. It's I don't own one. I don't particularly. I don't go in for hardware TNCs because first of all, I got stacks and stacks of them in my garage right now, and I don't know what to do with them all. But I'm not kidding, man. So here's the thing. The reason why that is because the stations that I put up on I worked with on those two hilltops in Sonoma County, we started off with Cantronics, and I tried making them work for 8 months.
Yeah.
And they kept being problematic. And I said, okay, we got to pull those out. And then I switched to using sound card modems. So I'm using Direwolf as the underlying station, the packet station for both of those sites, and it's been up without a single error. The only problem I've had is power outage, that the generator didn't turn on, and so the station went down hard, and then it didn't come back up right away. But those have been running consistently through fires and evacuations and power, PG&E power outages and everything else, and they just keep going. And that's the way I was just like, I'm so happy now with those stations just keep running. It's the repeater owner's favorite feeling is like, it's just working. Thank God.
Yep. Absolutely. How are you tonight, Chris? How does all this sound to you? Do you have anything APRS ready?
Well, I've got a FTM 350 when I was doing search and rescue tied to my Garmin GPS map. What was it, 376, which is almost a 3-inch display. So the APRS packets would go back to the Garmin, and I could see the other team members show up on my Garmin.
That's handy.
So that was. There used to be a thing called a GPS map or something for ham radio. Used to be able to buy it. I don't think you can get it anymore.
You can't buy it anymore. Yeah, a lot of those products have basically end of life. Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of replaced that, and I was able to put it all in a box, and I could throw it on the ATV and see where the other teams were when I was running searches. So I've got that. I've got the 400. I got a 100. I've got a VX 8R with GPS or with the APRS on it. Had a Digipeater here for a while, but the radio started to go south, so I was getting reports that it was making too much noise on the airwaves, so I shut it down. But
yeah, and a lot of that's in the time over the last year on these two stations in Sonoma County, we've replaced the radios because the radios have been up there for a long time before I started taking it over, and now they're running basically TK. These are No, the TR 790s are at both sites, so they're commercial Kenwoods, and man, those things are just bulletproof. You could drive your car over them; they still work.
Wow.
Yeah, they're really nice units.
Yeah, I've thought about putting up another Digi or at least an iGate here, just a listener, because the little hills along 680 kind of kill the signals, and unless you got a straight shot to Diablo or something, if you're driving up and down 680, you don't get packets out.
Yeah, and that is a hard corridor between, like, you're talking about like Cordelia sort of thing, or what? Yeah,
that's right
for sure, man. It's all hills, and it's like it sucks for radio. Just hates that. And
I've got a weather station on the hill that's a little bit south of me, and that hill's at about 600 feet. So
that'd be enough.
I'd like to put something up there, battery operated.
Or solar even, yeah. Those two would work really well.
Yeah.
We should get something up on, Kevin's got a tower in Fairfield, and where he sits, he would definitely cover Fairfield, Sassoon, and he shoots into Vacaville around a few hills and whatnot. But although Kevin has a lot of irons in the fire right now, but that'd be fun. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar, Randy, with Kevin N6VLF. He's been around Solano for a very long time and a big part of ham radio for us, at least in this area.
I haven't heard his call, but I'm honored to hear of him because I think it takes guys. So I think the thing that really didn't come out in my talk that I really wanted to get to was that the thing that makes APRS interesting is when hams use it.
Right.
If nobody uses it, it's boring.
Yep.
And so I took it kind of upon myself to a certain degree during the floods. This was, I think, 2018 when we had floods. And I spent a lot of time, putting objects on the map and basically trying to give some tactical, useful information. And I think that there's a lot to go there if you were working with races or Aries or something along those lines, and you could be running APRS information to manage an incident response. That would be useful.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting uses of APRS that I participated with was we were doing a public service event for I think this was multiple sclerosis or something like that out of Santa Rosa. And they actually brought some guys in from like Texas that had built this whole thing for it. It combined APRS with some other position tracking stuff. And they had a whole master map with mile markers and everything, rest stops, all. And you could do that. We could totally do that on APRS right now.
That's
the capability's there. It just takes somebody determined to actually implement it.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we did with Napa County Search and Rescue. We would put APRS trackers, and everybody that had a ham license, send them out in the field. And then there was a guy, I can't remember his name, he wrote software specialized just for search and rescue and APRS. So you'd put the call signs in, it would ignore everything but your guys or teams, and you could watch it all happen.
Yeah, and I mean, imagine being an incident commander having to, having that ability to just know what's happening without having to call and say, "Hey, where are you at right now?
Right.
What do you see?" Those are hugely useful information. That's tactical information that you can absolutely use during an emergency. Or even during, like I said, a public service event. Is like, we need to know where supplies are headed to rest stops so that, the bikers can eat their bananas, or I don't know. It's like, it's everything, right? But knowing that you have certain units that are moving around on the map and reliably so, that gives you the ability to say, oh, they're really close. Which unit's closest to that particular location, and then you can just call them direct as net controllers, whatever, and then basically direct them to that problem area. and it's dispatch. It's the easiest thing.
Yeah, we recently had a group come to us within the ham radio club by the name of CART, Community Animal Rescue Team or Readiness Team, something along those lines. But they specialize in rescuing large animals. And very quickly they realized, first of all, it's very hard to run a dispatch or kind of a command center using cell phones. And you know,
Yes.
in the last probably 2 years, they came to us. They've been, you know, more and more members have been joining. It's all volunteer. They've been getting their license. They've been doing these tests. They've been deploying in real life. You know, they're a part of the sheriff's auxiliary unit, so they can go behind police lines, of course, when there is natural disasters. And I know Bob, that's a big part of it. I think for him, he definitely would like to move them in that direction. Of course, you've got to put up the money and buy the equipment. But, you know, these are people driving horse trailers and trucks, and you're really trying to utilize your resources as quick as you can and understand where they are physically as people are calling in asking for help. Because what happens is a lot of you know, of these homes out in the country is they have a collection of large animals and they have no way of getting these animals out quickly. And that's when this group of individuals, amazing individuals, just go back and deploy and pull these animals out. Everything from sheep, llama, cows, chickens, I mean, you name it. Dogs and cats, of course, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, so I can only imagine this tool being used for that. And the other, you know, part of it, like you said, APRS is nothing if nobody uses it, you know. So I personally find it a lot of fun going out, camping, four-wheel driving, or for that matter, just telling your friends, hey, I'm on APRS right now, check me out. And, you know, on radio, we're doing so much with just talking, and we're kind of having a bit of imagination, which is a lot of fun. And so APRS kind of gives you that little bit more of that visual of maybe where they are. And I think it's a lot of fun.
No, you're absolutely. It's I think it's critical in terms of it's a tool that absolutely can help in a wide variety of circumstances like that. Like, you know, anything from you know, hauling supplies from point A to point B from one shelter to another, or large animal rescue. God bless them, because for a number of years my wife was raising dairy goats, and we had 35 Nigerian dwarf dairy goats, and I thought, God, if we had to evacuate, we could not possibly get these guys safely out of here.
Was that making cheese for you guys or anything?
Oh man, ooh, so much good cheese.
Oh, very good, very good.
You know, you're drowning in fresh milk, and then it's like, hey, let's make cheese, and then suddenly now you've got
awesome.
And all your neighbors are your best friends at that point. I'm not lying.
Heck yeah. Well, it looks like Fred just joined us. Fred, what's going on? I know recently you've been using a Bofang, a few cheap connectors, and your iPhone, and that works. Tell us how that's going.
Oh, I don't know. I've been doing it for a couple of years. Let's see where here's a little cable.
Yep.
Buy it on Amazon. I play with my old iPhone because then it really puts out RF. When you play with your other phone, you got to put it on airplane mode for it to use your radio. Otherwise, you're just doing it through the internet.
Yep. Yeah. Well, anywhere that there's cell phone coverage, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think it was last year before, I was playing around with it, and Josh down there in Cerritos, ham radio crash course. I was trying to text him, but it never would work. Yeah, I'm not sure why.
I didn't know he was that close. He's just down in Cerritos?
Yeah.
I mean, California's kind of long.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that's all.
But shouldn't that work?
That's the hilarious part of it.
Being able to text him through the APRS, shouldn't it go through Digipeaters, or I didn't have it jump enough hops then? No.
Actually, it would never actually do enough RF hops. The whole point is that your text message to him would get heard by an iGate, so a station that's connected to the internet, and then it would basically be routed over the internet to an iGate or a Digipeater that had heard one of his packets recently, and then it would be transmitted out of there. And that's all magic. That's all done without you knowing how it works, how the sausage gets made.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I'm not familiar with KN6JHT. He's in the chat. I should look who that is. But Fred, he's saying congrats on your son getting his ticket. How old is your son, by the way?
He's 14. He's still waiting for the call sign.
Man, that's got to be every amateur radio father's dream, right? Or mother, of course. I know there's plenty. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely cool.
Yeah, hey Fred, let us know when he gets his call sign. Post it where we're at because we're ready to chat with him.
Michael, you need an APRS in your delivery truck, and then we can keep tabs on you all day when you're working.
Well, I just put on there. I just put on the APRS droid. Thanks to Mike. I'm trying it out right now, so it's working on my phone so far.
Yeah, I mean, if you got it on the Android phone, I mean, it's useful to at least get kind of a little bit familiar with the basics of what's going on in the area. If all you have is this, you can at least watch what's going on reasonably well. It's not usually that anything that you put on this, if you beacon on this and you put a dot on the map, that doesn't always go out over RF.
Okay.
It would depend on the iGate that is in the area that would, if it would choose to beacon it out. And most of them choose not to. But what's that?
Question I have is I'm trying to look for settings. I know it goes to a metric settings on distance, all that. Is there any way to set it to English settings, or is that just possible?
Well, it's been a while since I bothered. Let me see. This is APRS Droid, or is this APRS?
Yeah, Droid.
Yeah, okay.
I was just trying to find the settings if I could take it down from metric to English, as in miles from kilometers.
Right.
What? You can't do that in your head?
I've been known to.
No,
I can think a little bit, but be a little quicker to go to English.
Yeah, there's something in settings, at least on the iPhone, for that.
Oh, okay.
So I would figure you dive into a gear, or maybe the 3 lines, the little hamburger, which a lot of times is like a menu.
That's why we call it the hamburger menu.
Yeah, the hamburger menu. That's right. That's what the doctor said twice when I went in for the ultrasound. Is like, well, you've got a hamburger.
Oh, congratulations.
I don't know if how many people are out there that had little girls, but that's what they say.
Hey, by the way, Nick, I sent you a message earlier. Congrats on your getting your extra man. You are a rising star in the hobby. You're moving fast.
I appreciate that.
You didn't even say that you were studying. I'm
really
feeling a little
little stealth action there, right?
Like what do you?
I didn't want to get myself all worked up. There's a lot of questions in that pool.
It's not gentle.
Well, there's almost 800 questions that you have to study to know, and then they pick 50 out of that pool.
And you missed 1 out of 50?
Yeah, that was just luck. I have no idea how that happened.
And there's some really good electronic questions, where you could memorize, but it probably would be behoove you to actually learn a bit.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and a lot of it is practical and useful. Some of it you're not going to remember, I haven't run across anybody yet that has an extra that has said, "Oh, that was a piece of cake." They all cop to it being a pretty challenging test.
Guilty as charged, man. Guilty as charged.
Well, I mean, Nick, right away, I just thought, there's no way that guy looks that smart.
Ow!
What?
I got good teachers. That's all there is to it.
Hey, by the way, we'll have to let Jim N60E know that we have a new young extra.
Oh, he knows. Yeah, he knows.
I'm sure he has something dry humor to say about that.
So what Michael is saying, for those that are like, who's this Jim guy? So Jim is in advanced class. OG
advanced.
Oh man, he walked, I believe, in the snow, barefoot, in San Francisco, up several hills to the FCC office. I mean, this guy
to hand deliver.
Yeah. And he is, he be damn if some no-code extra will tell him anything that he doesn't know, as an advance. But he's a great guy. He's on a local repeater here. But
he's known for his dry humor. So
he's got a big personality.
Oh boy. I'm looking and I'm not seeing the metric to English, so I don't know.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's a good question for their website. I'm not.
Just remember 25.4. That's all you got to remember. You're good to go.
Yeah. Geez, Michael.
1.6 kilometers per mile. There you go. See, piece of cake. Just do the math, man.
25.4.
Hey, I wanted to welcome in William. I think he's out there in Modesto, right? William, you can hit the unmute and say hello.
Hello, KN Delta Alpha Mike, and I was just enjoying the conversation. Today, I was hooking up solar panels and batteries, and there's one guy trying to sell me really hard on an LIFEPO battery, and I'm looking at the prices, and my goodness, they're getting to be about the same price as a lead acid. And I just bought a marine deep cycle lead acid from Sherba's on sale for something like $95. And I'm thinking, well, I can get 4 of these batteries that are LIFEPO lithium iron potassium batteries for about the same price. And the advantage isn't that I'll get more storage of power, but the advantage is it doesn't weigh 85 pounds like a lead acid battery that I'm using now costs. So anyway, I just wanted to say, hey man, I'm enjoying the show, and I'm getting my mobile set up all ready to go. So I'm having a good time.
Okay, great.
And 60 AM.
Thanks for checking in, William. Excellent. Yeah, he's been in the chat. I've been kind of watching him there. He looks like he's been very much involved with APRS and has built out a few things. So it's always fun for people to say hello. And just FYI, that microphone was really hot, like over-modulating. I'm not sure what that was, but
pretty hot.
But yeah, it was coming in plenty strong.
He
but
was booming.
That's this whole thing is so hard. I've got my fingers on a mixing board. I'm using I get it, right? The struggle is real. We're just having fun. I'm not too concerned. We'll be okay. So. How about Roy? We haven't heard anything from you tonight, Roy. Are you on? How many cups of coffee are you on tonight?
I'm just sitting here listening and getting an education.
All right. Well, the good news is it's free.
Yeah.
Actually, looking at the chat, this is a good one. Any reason not to get a Kenwood 710G for first APRS setup? If you can afford it, it's full featured, and it's relatively easy menu wise. I would choose the Kenwood menu system over Yaesu every day of the week and twice on Sunday, because I can find anything I need in a Kenwood menu system. And man, if I am just like I might as well be reading Martian when I try to make my way through Yaesu. And that's me. I mean, obviously your mileage may vary, man. If you love Kenwood, get Kenwood. If you love Yaesu, get Yaesu, man. It's all good. But both of them are very capable. What I would really, if you can afford it, that's knock yourself out, man. It's nice. I know that a lot of people are like, if you go with the Yaesu, you've got C4FM, and you can do Yaesu System Fusion. And sure, if that is a nice digital voice mode, I've used the radios there. It really sounds great. But there's not that many. There's just not as many repeaters out there using them as there are DMR for digital voice right now. But
yeah, Kenwood is an interesting creature as a manufacturer. Of course, they show up in stereos if you want to buy that for your car. But going to a few hamfests, they're not. Their presence isn't that strong, and sometimes I feel like they lack a little sex appeal. Although great radios. And this looks like I'm pulling this up on the screen here on YouTube, the TMD710G. It looks like a fantastic radio, and I've heard
baby right there.
I've heard great things about how good they build them. I know nothing about the menu system, but Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I mean, getting into Kenwood or ICOM, you kind of have to like start drinking their Kool-Aid, and then maybe you'll get it.
Well, and I think you're right there. I think also the Yaesu has the leg up on having a color screen and having it's more, it's going to be a little more kind of visually interesting. And when you're working on a monochrome LCD like with you on the Kenwood, it's a little old schooly sort of feeling.
Yeah.
And I guess that appeals to certainly to me apparently. So it's all good. But yeah, I've been pretty happy with mine, and but I know that there's lots of people that are using the FTM 400 that love it as well. And right on.
I really like I don't know his name, but Classic Tetris Monthly, and he says old school is fine by me. So I mean he's good to go, and I mean obviously with the Tetris. Classic
Obviously,
Tetris.
yes. Man.
Very good. He must have a YouTube channel. I should go check that out. I mean, that sounds like a YouTube channel. So what do we got? Any more questions? I don't want to run it too late. I know a lot of us, Randy and everyone has to work. But
yeah, I'm a school teacher by day.
Yeah, so you're at home right now.
Superhero at night. So.
You're at home doing the distant learning thing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, it has been, and actually the setup that you're looking at right now is what my students see. So it's like they hear this microphone, they see this camera. They love me because all of the other teachers are using little laptops and the little cameras in the laptop screens, and so they're like, we can barely hear them, but we can hear you just fine.
Yeah, and what grades?
So I teach at Annalee High School in Sebastopol, California. I teach freshmen to seniors.
Okay.
And I teach CTE, Career Technical Education, and video is my subject. So I do film and TV and broadcast. And my first love is radio.
Yeah.
I used to do a radio podcast hybrid out of Sonoma, the town of Sonoma, called Wine Biz Radio.
Okay.
But I don't do that anymore. I finally let the website lapse this year, kind of shed a tear, but moved on. We were doing podcasting back in 2007 when it wasn't easy to do. So when podcasting actually took hard work to produce and figure all of the dumb technology that was involved. Now these days they're like, everybody can podcast. I'm like, yeah, of course they can. The tools are there.
Yep.
So that's the walking uphill both ways for me.
And that was about wine, it sounds like?
What's that?
That was about wine?
Yeah, it was about the wine industry. So that's the funny thing is like it's a niche program geared towards people that work in the industry itself. So it's not. It's obviously not. Would we drink wine on the air? I can't kiss and tell.
It's all about a cup you can't see through.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, where's my hydro flask? Anyway, so yeah, it was a really interesting situation. We met a ton of people in the wine industry, learned a ton about the wine industry, and the cool thing about that is that when you walk into any tasting room, if you put down your business card and it has Wine Biz Radio on it, you never pay for your tastings.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Anyway, yeah, that was a little
and so so you're a teacher, so you're you have the ability to pass along influence, and minds are growing. Do you ever slip in ham radio?
I've been trying to get my students. I've been trying to start a ham radio club at my school. So I mean, it is one of those things where I regularly walking around with these clipped to my belt or sitting in chargers on my desk, and people are like, and sometimes I might accidentally have them on.
Yeah.
And so, they'd be like, hey, Randy, what's that? So the other thing is that my students, I treat my students like adults. So it's like, I tell them they can call me Randy. If they see me in the hallways, they should call me Mr. Hall. But if they see me in the classroom, I'm fine with it. But they'll say, hey, Randy, what's that? I'm like, oh, this is my radio. And they're like, well, why do you have it? I'm like, oh, well. And then I tell them a little story.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, oh, that's interesting. And sometimes they're like, you. And I'm like, all right, whatever, man. It's your mileage. Your mileage may vary.
No, I understand. But that's great. You're kind of slipping it in here and there. I mean, that kind of takes me back.
I'm hoping that's one of my 5-year goals is to get a club station up there.
Because that's the classic audio video club, right? The AV club.
You would think.
Yeah, you've got
Just
that
like
in there.
Stranger Things.
There you
Yes.
go.
Yeah, and if you guys, not that anyone here is going to have watched it, but if you ever saw the series 13 Reasons Why on Netflix,
Yeah, that was about a girl.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that school that was featured in that
Yeah.
was the high school I teach at.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Liberty High is Annalee High School in Sebastopol, California.
So what was going on in that series? Does that take place up there?
Not really. No, they just
Fictitious
used the
story.
location.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
But yeah, the fun fact was I did get a tour of their set, which is out was out at Mare Island, and so we went and visited that and had a great. And the students had a great time. It was Paramount was the production studio involved in producing the series, and so yeah, it was really kind of an interesting view behind how they make the TV show, and walking into a mock-up set of the school. So imagine you go 50 miles.
Yeah.
Get out of your
kids.
bus. You walk into a warehouse,
And we're
and then
back.
a couple of steps later, you're in your school. It's like, yeah, no, it was freaky. It was kind of weird.
Oh, that's very cool.
Anyway,
Sebastopol area, that seems like a very nice area. You know, I'm
Oh,
down
yeah, West-
here with like 100,000 people. I don't know. That seems like a little much.
You know Rod PKJ?
sorry.
I forgot his prefix with PKJ. Rod.
K6PKJ.
Yeah, okay.
Rod Lindy?
No, don't know the name or the call.
Yeah, there's a ham up there in Sebastopol. He beams on down here to Contra Costa County quite a bit on the K6 POU repeater.
Nice.
I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's 14533.
Oh, the 3-3. Yes, I
And
know the
it's
3-3.
it's you know it's
I don't know the call numbers, but everyone says the 3-3. I'm like, oh yeah.
yeah. It is like it's like pulling a stool up at the bar. You know,
It kind of feels like Cheers, doesn't it?
you never know
Everyone
what
knows
you're
your
gonna get.
name and-
Make sure you leave your feelings at the door,
yeah.
and don't tell the FCC you're there.
Oh yeah. You're like, I'm running a legal limit. What's the matter? So.
Well, just the overall conversation sometimes can just get
okay. So the
craziness.
Yeah, Rod lives not too far from me, I guess, so he comes up once in a while.
Nice. I don't live in Sebastopol. I'm about, I think I'm 10 miles away as the crow flies. And so, somebody's
Are you
got
close to
angry dogs.
Forestville?
What's that?
Are you close to Forestville?
No, but Forestville is just north of there. So I do have some friends in Forestville.
Okay. Yeah, I got a brother-in-law. He has a bike shop in downtown Forestville.
Downtown Forestville, which is like the stretch of 116 that's about 2 miles long.
Yeah, it's called Russian River. Yeah, Russian River Cyclones. So.
Oh yeah, okay, sure. I mean, it's Forestville's a small community, man. It's the other high school that's in Forestville is part of
I have a
it.
family cabin on Trenton Drive, just off of Trenton.
Okay, yeah. I mean, and it's a beautiful area. It sucks when it floods, but other than that, it's gorgeous.
Well, they're home just off River Road along the Russian River, but it's high enough just off the main road so that they could dodge the bullet.
Yeah, well, like the last flood that came in almost a year. It was just over a year and a half ago in February. That was like a 100-year flood again, and it was like 40 feet or something. It was crazy. I know we're talking shop, aren't we?
Man. Well, hey, here in the Zoom call, does anybody have any final thoughts or questions? We can kind of tie a ribbon on it.
Two words. Thank you.
Everyone's good. Yeah, Randy, really fantastic
Thank you very
presentation. Thank you for coming on. We have a whole mixture of things. As I mentioned earlier when we started off, some weeks we'll do check-ins, some weeks we'll do stories, we'll bring presentations in, and Randy, if you know anyone else that would like to share, or please feel free to come back, say hello, jump into another topic maybe, because you said.
How do you guys feel about DMR?
No, that's great. I mean,
That'd be awesome.
We're just
I
breaking
could talk
in.
your ear off about DMR right now.
Yeah, so maybe in a month or so we'll get you back
Sure,
because
yeah.
most recently, Mike, you can probably speak to this. I'm just kind of paying attention from afar, but Mike has our local repeater connected through an AllStar system, and then you're bringing. Well, Mike, you explain it. How do you bring DMR into our AllStar system?
Yeah, so there's like a DV switch software you can install. Yep. And then you kind of have to bridge the analog asterisk part, into from asterisk to DMR, and you can do other modes. You can do YSF, you can do NXDN.
Oh yeah, no. Once you have the analog coming in, you can send it to D-Star, send it to Yaesu, or all of them at the same time.
Sure, I'm more comfortable with DMR because I have a DMR radio. I have a couple hotspots, and so I was mainly.
What kind of hotspots you running?
I've got one of the Pi Zeros with Pi-Star, and then I've got a Pi 3 with the same software. But I'd like to get an open spot eventually, because especially the open spot 3, because it's easier to go from DMR to D-Star, because you can't do that with a Pi-Star.
No, you can't, because the open spot 3 has the ambi chip in it, so you can do the transcoding built into the hotspot itself. So yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
And I've done some other stuff with it too. Like I've got one of those USB sticks that has the Amber or AMB.
Yeah, the AMB chip. This is like the Thumb DV or something from Northwest Digital Radio. I've got one of those too. So see, you could talk about this. What am I doing here?
I'm not comfortable enough to explain some of the details, but it's cool though, because I just have another Pi that you could plug that stick in. And then you can go mobile with your phone and be on digital. You don't even need to carry a radio, as long as you got internet, cell.
Yeah, you run Blue DV on something like this, and then you're running.
And the cool thing is, with that same Android app, you can connect to your AllStar or a standalone DV switch installation, which is really cool. Just switch modes.
It starts to get a little kind of goofy almost when you really you're like, how many moving parts is this?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Once you get into digital, you could just kind of go every which way. So
there's a reason the word geek is in Mike's call.
Yes.
Right on, man. I love it. No, I think that's fantastic. But yeah, so on the QT, not like anyone's going to say we're not on YouTube or anything. But I'm working on putting up a new DMR repeater in Sonoma County. We already have a network of 4 spread around, but there's some areas of the county that need some coverage, and I think DMR is it's another one of those things where I think it's a voice mode that would work really, really well for public service and those kinds of events, because the voice clarity is just so much better. And if you're marginal, you're not doubling with people. There's a bunch of advantages to using that for those kinds of purposes for ham radio, and I think it's really strong. It's a strong contender. So I'm working on getting some more DMR capacity up there. I know the biggest problem with you guys out in your area is Beale having the 70 centimeter limitations for you guys. Yeah. Which was why I was worried that you guys had lost there's some DMR up on top of Mount Vaca that's one's 2 meter and one's 900 megahertz, right?
Yeah, there is one. I think it's a Carla repeater, if I'm not mistaken. Or
yes, they're both Carla, and I know Carla has their own kind of take on who should use them and how. But
it's very limited. Very limited.
They do have some talk groups on there that are very useful. I will say that.
They have a California one that's pretty good. I think it's 3108 or no, what is it?
3106 is the California, and then there's if they were really smart, they'd have the NorCal up there as well, which is 31068. It's talk group numbers, blah blah blah. It's just word salad for a lot of folks, and that's fine. But yeah, it's a really word salad. I know. I get there, man. I just like. Oh, it's hilarious. I'll hear somebody say something and I'll be like, wow, that's a lot of words you just said right there. That's cool.
And apparently there's a DMR repeater up on Mount Diablo, but I think the internet's not working on it. I think there's something happened to it and it just doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, so the link's down. So yeah, in that case, it just becomes a 2-channel voice repeater.
Pretty much, yeah, local.
Yeah, it's isolated. So yeah, the other thing that the other thing that I'm into is actually mountaintop linking of wire. I know that there's an amateur radio mesh network happening down in the Bay Area, and we're talking about possibly linking some of our sites with that, and then being able to link hilltops.
What do you mean by that exactly?
So let me find. I know it's getting late, but I want to.
The mesh, as far as the mesh is, you're using 2 meters or 70 centimeters?
No, this is actually using. It's using international versions of Wi-Fi radios, either 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz. Because they're international, you can actually tune them to frequencies that hams have access to.
Oh.
And so that's why you do this. So you're not.
Backhaul?
What's that?
Like a backhaul network?
Yeah, it's kind of like, but it's a what the SHTF sort of, if the internet goes down, we can have a ham internet.
Wow.
I went to a presentation on that, and
because up there you guys have ham WAN.
Well, I went to a presentation down there in
Oh,
Sacramento.
okay.
It was actually with the it wasn't the North Hills. It was the Sierra Foothills Amateur Radio Club put on a presentation where the person who was in charge of that, and I don't remember his name, but if you go to their website, I believe they record all of their their presentations that they put on, and this was last year sometime.
Yeah.
And it was a lot for me to take in. I had just gotten my license at that point. Just got my tech license, and so I was just like showing up to clubs and hanging out,
just like, what do you guys do? What do you guys
and so a lot of it was way over my head, and a lot of everything is still way over my head.
So I got the site up. Can I still share my screen? Is that still possible? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to do that. So this is the site. It's RREDN. Yeah, I know. Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network, and it is kind of based out of, this one I guess is based out of the Bay Area, so San Jose or San Francisco, and they use these channels. So there's like 5 gigahertz channels that are ham band. So you see this 5.85 and above, 5.92. These are all channels that we are licensed to use, but are not available to U.S. Unlicensed people. So these are some channels that we actually can use for data and actually be high-speed data. And if you use enough high gain enough antennas, you can get some point links going over miles and miles, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles. Obviously, you start to deal with height issue and curvature of the Earth, but still, this is one of the things that we're looking at. I know that Adam KD6POC, who Jason originally talked to, is he talks about his solutions being Heisenberg grade. So if you know about that, it's like literally, no failure not an option sort of approaches. And
this is next level prepper.
No, not exactly, but it kind of runs in that realm. But he's all about having solutions that are probably over-engineered for the most part, but will work reliably 24/7. And that's what that's the mentality and the philosophy that drove my building those two stations, those APRS stations. Was they are commercial. They're a commercial radio. It's the Kenwood TR 790, 2 meter. It's a sound card. We're using what is it? Master Communications. It's the repeater builder folks that have sound card modems that are interfaced with the radio to the computer, and the computer is it's a rack mount 1U system. It's not super high powered, but it's more than APRS needs. So I'm actually thinking of, so it's really kind of built to be super robust and overbuilt for what its purpose is. But then it opens up opportunities for things like, well, then we can have our own APRS IS server at those sites, and then those are connected to the internet and push data both directions. So that if the internet goes down at those sites, we still have the ability to, over Wi-Fi, we could get the map up on our screen and see what's happening in our local area without needing to have broadband from Xfinity or Sonic or whatever. So yeah, and I can go on and on. I told you, Jason, I have opinions about lots of stuff.
I like it.
Hey,
I like
Randy,
it.
Randy, what frequencies were those? I'm looking at it on my phone. I can't see. Is that in the 5700? Or?
Yeah, it's 5.8 gigahertz to here. I'm going to pull this back up. So I'm hovering over it. So it is 5.85 gigahertz to 5.92. So that's in the, and I don't remember what band 5.8 gig is. It's like what, 8 centimeter?
5.8. Oh gosh. I fly FPV and I operate video transmitters on up to 5.845 and down to 5.7.3.
Sure, and those are ham band, but that's also shared with unlicensed. So
yeah, I was just wondering if that was in that range.
Those are included. Those 5.845 and below, but those are shared with unlicensed users. So the idea is if you want to get some clean air.
No.
I think William's booming again.
Booming in.
But so and that's just the thought behind that is they do also have it on 2.4 gigahertz where you can be outside of the ham band. You got a couple of channels on 2.4 gigahertz that are outside of what the ISM Wi-Fi is, and then there's actually, if you can get a radio that'll do 3.4 gigahertz, you have a slew of channels that you can use as well. So this is an area that people really do have a lot of current innovation happening on kind of ham networking and using the 44 the IP44 segment that we have available to us. Man, I'm telling you, we can keep going round and round. We can be midnight, and I'd still be like, oh, hey, I got an opinion about that. So,
oh, I know it. I'm sorry. That's what makes us such great hams, right? Is the ability to just keep talking.
Just keeps talking. The guy won't shut up.
Well, no problem. I mean, this is a weekly thing, and like I said, we mix it up every week. So
I'm gonna try to get a hold of those guys for the Arden site, and there's a whole group of them that do it, and see if they want to put something on.
Fred, is that your robot? What do you got there?
What's that?
That's the goggles.
Oh, your
That's my
goggles. Receiver. Here, let me make you bigger. All right, spotlight you. So tell us what's going on there. I see an antenna.
Yeah, so this is a 5.8 receiver for video and goggles that I fly my drone with.
Nice.
That looks very cool.
Frequency range. Yeah.
And your drone is a kit, right? It's like a custom build?
No, I just build them. I mean, I build them. I got a bunch of different ones. Both fixed wings and
so you're not buying any of that Chinese crap, that DJI.
No.
Oh, now.
I know. It's a great company, but Fred is the real McCoy. Very good, Fred. I like it.
No, I got 2 kids in private school. I can't afford that DJI stuff. I got to build my own.
Yeah, you're having fun with that, aren't you? I told Fred the other day. So Fred is a big QRP operator. He's kind of putting things together, and I told him, I said, I heard why. I'm a little envious, honestly, because my kids are in public school, and they're not going to school. And so Fred's kids are in a private Christian school, and his kids are going to school every day, all day.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just thinking, like, maybe I need to get my kids into private school. But the problem is I'd have to start selling stuff around here because it's expensive. So that's why Fred operates on QRP, because he has two beautiful kids in private school.
So as soon as they're out of school, man, he's like, I'm going legal limit.
Yeah, all my radios are Dad's radios.
No, I get it. Yeah. I mean, after all, right, it's just a hobby, for Pete's sakes.
Yeah. Gotta have money for
lots of lunch money.
That's it. I ask the wife for $10 every single day, and I go to work and I eat top ramen, and then I save that money.
Save that money, man, because that rig ain't cheap. It's never gonna. The price is just. Oh.
That's how I bought the 400 recently. Don't tell her how much it costs. She doesn't know.
It costs $10.
All right. It cost 1 month of lunches. Well, all right, guys.
This has been fun. I've really enjoyed it, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what we do. We're just having fun with the hobby, and we're sharing out, we're sharing it out for everyone that wants to participate out there in YouTube land or whatever. And quite honestly, you get a handful of guys into something, they're going to talk about things that are relevant and you can learn from, whether it's you did the research or maybe you failed. And that's really what the best part is you're sharing that information out. So,
for sure. Well, yeah, if you guys ever have any questions, my email is aa6rh at SOCO Radio, so SOCO dot or SOCORAD.io. I'll type it in the chat.
And I think you're good on QRZ as well.
Yeah, I am on QRZ, so if you just look up my call sign, it's there. So.
Although your profile picture could really be better. It's sideways.
I don't even remember what that. I sent it to just Nick, so hang on.
Yeah, your picture is like sideways and stretched and skewed.
It's hideous.
Yeah.
Because QRZ does such a great job of uploading photos. So yeah,
it is an older site, but it's like the site for hams to use.
It's where everybody goes when they're like, oh yeah, just look up my email on QRZ.
That's it.
So all right, you guys have yourselves a great evening. I'm gonna sign off and go get some sleep.
Absolutely. Thank you, Randy. Yeah, we're out of here as well, so we'll kind of give the old wave 7-3, and we'll see everyone next week.
With 3s and 88s.
That's it.
All right, take care.
All right, guys. Adios. Thank you.
Okay, is that a wrap for you too, JC?